All right, so you can see this is the Constellix DNS dashboard. What I want to do actually at the same point is bring up our sonar monitoring dashboard, and we can actually look at the different the metrics that we have in the system. So within Constellix, obviously we have our monitoring application, which monitors the performance of all your systems. You can monitor regionally, you can monitor worldwide. I'm going to show you how this is set up within our system. So if you go right now within our Multi CDN system, it will automatically set up a bunch of regional checks for you. So if we look at this, this is an Amazon CloudFront one over here. And if you look at where it's doing its monitoring from, it's going to monitor all from within one region. So what we want to, reason why we want to do this is because we want to make our failover decisions regionally. Right? If one CDN provider has a regional issue, what we can do is that we can automatically say they're down in this region, they're not down worldwide, right? And that's a big difference between the Constellix product and a lot of other products that are out there, is that a lot of their products are going to make a worldwide decision. Hey, they're down in Europe, let's take them offline everywhere. Where generally that's not what's going to happen to a lot of the CDN outages. If you look at most of our failovers, they're done regionally, they're not done worldwide. Obviously, Cloudflare had the worldwide one, last week, but a lot of Amazon outages are regional. A lot of other providers have regional outages and things like that. So we do a lot of this setup for you automatically. When you use some of our tools, you obviously can go through and you can set them up yourself as well. But we actually are, we're going to make the connection, and we have a CDN set up over here called camp.server.us. But what this is doing is measuring our performance, and it's going to do a lot of our decisions. Let's go back to that one again. It doesn't really matter which one it is, actually. Just want to make sure I have one that has some sort of valid data. And I keep clicking on the same thing. So as Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So what we also do, though, is that we're gathering the metrics from our different POPs. So you can see we have a bunch of POPs over here. And just like a CDN should be, we should see really, really good speeds. You can tell we had a bad anomaly, right? In Paris, we had a really high speed, which kind of blew everything out. It had a 5-second response for a few checks. But then overall, the CDN's getting really good fast response times. We're also gathering all the data. You can look at the response times, 2 milliseconds, 29 seconds for the DNS lookup. Because we do have, when you do use a CDN, you are making that additional lookup of the CDN provider at the same time. So we do give you all those analytics. And so then we are constantly, the biggest thing though, is to checking if it's up and down. So if you were doing your configuration, let's go into a domain I've just set up more recently. And if I want to do basic failover, I'd go to failover and I put in the one host name for my one CDN, I put in the other host name for my other CDN, and then I put in the relevant sonar check that I want to make the decisions based on. And so as soon as one of the CDN providers goes down, it's automatically detected and it fails over to the next one, right? So that's just a basic CNAME failover. This, of course, can be done as well in A-name records, where you can provide this sort of functionality, and you don't actually provide this, and you would need this if it's being done at the root record, of course. And we talked about why you need the A-name records in our last webinar that is found online. So that's just basic CNAME, basic CDN cloud provider failover. It's very easy to set up and it's very cost effective, right? So you can do monitoring every 30 seconds, I believe, for I forget, I think the number, it's about $1.50, $1.60 every single month inside Sonar, where we're doing all these metrics for you. We're constantly gathering once every 30 seconds, we're getting all this data, and then you make the decisions based on that. You can make the decisions based on that in your CNAME failover. I'm just going to clean out my screens a little bit so you don't I keep clicking on the wrong ones. So that's a very simple, easy to do setup. It's very simple, and the reason why, it's utterly 4 seconds of configuration, right? It's not that hard at all. So hopefully we're removing the idea that it's too difficult, right? I know 21% that said it was too difficult, and doing multi CDN, we talked about, it should not be too expensive. So hopefully we defunct a bunch of those myths already. And so the next thing we're talking about is performance. So now that I had these multiple CDNs, how can we now just make the decisions based upon the best performing CDN? And so what we do inside Constellix is we create what's called pools. And inside pools, let's open a couple of them up over here. You can tell I have a bunch set up in this test account. So what we do in pools is that we make the decisions. You can tell I killed this CDN on the backside, or I killed the monitoring for it. But what we do is that we actually have different speeds and a different metric. So you can tell here we have StackPath, we have CloudFront, and we have Key CDN, right? This is Amazon CloudFront, and this is the North America West. So if I go to my monitoring, and if I was to look at my North America West metrics, there it is. So these are the different metrics that are being populated going into here. So we take all your regional checks. We're looking in the monitoring region of just the North America West, and every 30 seconds, we're going to then make the decision of using the solution, whichever is faster for you, right? So we're automatically going to make that decision, route the traffic to the fastest location, and automatically make that decision. Now, all these monitoring points are being done within our monitoring nodes, right? And these are all within like these multi-homed, really redundant data facilities. So it's really not giving you, it's giving you a good access of if a CDN provider starts having larger issues, right? But it's not giving you that end mile, that last mile diagnostics and testing that you may want. And so for that, we offer a feature called RUM, right? It's the real user monitoring. And so let me just set up this over here. I was setting up a few up a little bit earlier. And what we developed is we give you a JavaScript, right? And you choose the providers that you want. And then we give you a JavaScript, which actually you'll put inside your page. And now you could use, we could use this, or if you wanted to, you can just use our other existing clients' data as well. So we're constantly gathering data and analytics from a lot of hundreds of other websites right now, actually thousands of other websites, but hundreds of different clients are using this already. And so we're gathering what we call community data for several providers. So you can just make the decisions based upon the community data if you don't even want to make the decisions based upon your other data. So you just got to use, you can tell I was testing, setting up a custom CDN here as we start adding more community data. But what all these will do is that once you add this JavaScript, we're going to start pre-populating what we call these IP filters, right? And in these IP, what we're going to do is that we're going to constantly figure out from what networks are the fastest. So if I look over here for, this is CDN 77 on the East Coast of the United States, these are going to go into all the name servers on the East Coast of the United States. So you notice you're not going to see stuff here for Asia Pacific or Europe because these rules wouldn't apply to those name servers. You'd have to go to the Europe one for that, and you would say, okay, this is where it's faster. So CDN 77 is actually faster in Turkey, India, and United Kingdom, but then in Ukraine, only this one AS is going to be faster. So we kind of keep the rules as simple as possible. We're not going to have a lot of redundant rules. So because, just so for instance, in CDN, which one we have over here? CDN static, this is, I think StackPath. Yeah, this is StackPath. So StackPath is faster in North Carolina for most networks. So we're not going to list all the different networks here that North Carolina is going to be faster. But if I go to the other providers for this configuration, you're going to see that they're going to have some ASNs for North Carolina, right? Because this is the default. Since this has the most number of networks in North Carolina, it automatically gets North Carolina. And then if another network is faster just for that one particular network, that one CDN provider would have it. So let's say StackPath is faster for the most number of networks in North Carolina, but Amazon is faster for 4 or 5. So Amazon may list the 4 or 5 different ASNs on that network. So we can say here in this rule, we got North Carolina, Kansas, New Jersey, but then you see we have the more specific rules where we're going to say, okay, within, you can tell here, see, within New York, you have AS 36265. We also have AS 33355, 21928. You're going to see where you have multiple rules where stack path is going to be faster. And since these measurements are updated every minute, we know within the last minute, these end users are getting better performance by using this one cloud provider, this one CDN provider over another one. And that is the best way of getting the measurements for your end users and giving the best end results for your users, right? You're doing this decision based upon your end user's experience, which is really the most important part. And you can see, so what we do is we populate all these rules for you, we generate all these rules, and then inside your configurations, let's open one up where I have this set up inside of my server.us. Inside of your configurations, let's look up at US East over here, and let me increase my screens here. You can say that you know, inside, I want to use Amazon CloudFront, and it's only going to be affected by the people that are running the Amazon CloudFront North America East IP filter, right? And wherever that stack path is available, I want to go there. And wherever CDN 77 is available, I want to go there. Wherever key CDN's fastest, I want to use there. So we create these individual rules for you, and we apply it to that particular region, and we put it on those particular name servers, right? And so this automatically is making the decision of your users, routing them to the fastest possible cloud provider based upon the real user metrics that they're doing. And a good thing about our services as well, and what we allow you to do, is you can actually do overrides, right? So if you look down, if you noticed in those IP filters, let's bring one up over here, you can do any user rules in here. So you can say, okay, I want to do this IP network, or no matter what, this IP network, I always want to use this cloud provider. And this way you can do your own testing and your own performance metrics and stuff like that. So that gives you a good solution. So I hope that kind of shows you what the power you can do with a multi-cloud solution and a multi-provider CDN to move around that. And this, we were talking a lot about the measurements we can do. We're also going to start doing, you know, monitoring of your database applications, right? So within every single Constellix Sonar application, you could determine what are the actual IPs monitoring you. You could open up particular IPs, and then we can monitor your database applications at the same point, right? And say, okay, this database instance is down. We want to fail over to the other cloud provider, right? All this can be built in inside your infrastructure for relatively similar cost. You are going to be paying for the size of the memory and stuff like that, but your in and out are going to be balanced out. We're actually not going to be paying too much more, particular in that instance. With CDN providers, like we were saying, like I've mentioned, you usually are saving money when you start going multi-cloud for some of the computing engines and inside stuff. Sometimes you're going to be paying a little bit more, but you're going to be getting overall much higher uptime and the performance for you.